Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to part 2 of our series of drug administration routes. Before we dive into part 2, systemic routes of drug administration, let's take a quick look at what we covered in part 1. In the last video, we discussed local routes of drug administration where the drug acts directly at the site of application. We covered the topical route used for skin, eyes, ears, and mucous membranes, deeper tissue injections like intra-articular and intrathecal routes, and the intra-arterial route used for targeted treatments like localized chemotherapy. We also looked at their uses, advantages like reduced systemic side effects, and some limitations such as technical skill and potential local irritation. With that foundation, let's now move on to systemic routes where drugs are delivered directly into the body tissues or bloodstream. In this video, we are talking about the main systemic ways drugs are given like oral, intravenous, intramuscular, subcutaneous, and few others. We'll keep it simple and walk through how each one works when it's used and the ups and downs of each. Knowing these routes helps make smart choices about drug forms, how quickly they kick in, and how to get the best outcome for the patient. Let's begin our exploration of systemic drug delivery. So, what are systemic routes? It is a method by which drugs enter the circulatory system to reach target tissues throughout the body. Unlike local administration, systemic delivery ensures that the drug has a widespread effect, often essential for treating conditions that affect multiple systems or deeper tissues. Let's start with oral route. Oral ingestion is the oldest and most commonly used method of drug administration. The drug is taken by mouth and absorbed through the gastrointestinal tract into the bloodstream. It remains the preferred route for many medications due to its multiple advantages. Primarily, it is considered safer and more convenient than parenteral routes. It generally doesn't require professional assistance, making it ideal for self-administration in outpatient settings. Being a non-invasive and usually painless method, it improves patient compliance, especially in chronic therapy. A wide variety of dosage forms are available for oral use, catering to different therapeutic needs and patient preferences. They include solid dosage forms and liquid dosage forms. Solid dosage forms such as powders, tablets, capsules, spansules, drushes, etc. Liquid dosage forms such as syrups, elixirs, emulsions, and mixtures, which are often preferred for pediatric or geriatric patients due to easier swallowing and customizable dosing. Let's look at some common examples of drugs administered orally, categorized by their dosage forms. Tablets, solid compressed forms of medication, for example, paracetamol and metformin. Capsules, drugs which are enclosed in a gelatin shell, often used for delayed or targeted release, for example, omeprazole and fluoxetine. Then spansules. These are a type of capsule that releases the drug slowly over time, for example, dexedrine. Drushes are the sugar-coated tablets often used to mask taste, for example, vitamin supplements. Then syrup. Syrups are the sweetened liquid preparations especially suitable for children. For example, paracetamol syrup, diphenhydramine syrup. Then suspensions. These are the liquid preparations with solid drug particles suspended in them. Shake well before use. For example, amoxicillin suspension. Then elixirs. These are the clear, sweetened hydroalcoholic liquids. Example, diphenhydramine elixir. And emulsions are the liquid mixtures of two immersible liquids, usually oil and water. For example, castor oil and cod liver oil. When we take a medicine by mouth, have you ever wondered how it actually works inside our body? Let's walk through the mechanism step by step. Step 1 is absorption. After the drug is swallowed, it travels down the esophagus and reaches the stomach. Some drugs may begin to absorb here, but the majority are absorbed in the small intestine because of its large surface area and rich blood supply. The drug must pass through the epithelial cells lining the intestinal wall to enter the bloodstream. Next, we have transport. Once absorbed, the drug enters a specialized blood vessel network called portal circulation. This system carries blood from the gastrointestinal tract straight to the liver, which plays a crucial role in what happens next. Now comes a very important step, first pass metabolism. In the liver, the drug encounters enzymes that may metabolize or break down before it ever reaches the rest of the body. This can reduce the amount of active drug available in the systemic circulation. This is why some oral drugs have low bioavailability. A larger portion is inactivated before it can act. Whatever portion of the drug survives liver metabolism is then released into the systemic circulation, that is, the main bloodstream. From here, it is transported throughout the body and eventually reaches its target tissues or organs, where it can exert its therapeutic effect. It's important to remember, first pass metabolism can limit how much of the drug is available to work in the body. That's why some drugs need higher doses when taken orally, or may even be given by other routes. Now let's see what are the major advantages of this route. First and foremost, it's safe and non-invasive. No needles, no risk of infection, and no need to worry about damaging tissues. That's a big plus, especially for patients who fear injections. It's also incredibly convenient and painless. No hospital visits, no medical personnel required. You can take your medicine anytime, anywhere. It's ideal for self-administration even at home. From a manufacturing perspective, oral medications are cost-effective. Unlike injectables, they don't need to be sterile, which significantly cuts down on production and packaging cost. The oral route also supports a wide range of dosage forms. Whether it's tablets, capsules, syrups, or emulsions, there's something for every age group and clinical need. This flexibility is especially helpful for pediatric and geriatric patients. Let's not forget patient compliance is a much higher with oral medications. Why? Because they are easy to take, pain-free, and familiar. That means patients are more likely to follow their prescribed regimens. Lastly, oral drugs are easy to store and carry. Most have a long shelf life, don't require refrigeration, and are convenient to transport, making them perfect for travel or remote use. While the oral route is widely preferred for its ease and safety, it's not without its downsides. Let's take a closer look at the disadvantages and limitations of taking drugs by mouth. First up, variable absorption. The way a drug is absorbed can change based on many factors like what you have eaten, your stomach's pH level, how quickly your gut moves, or even other medicines that you are taking. This variability can affect how well and how fast the drug works. Then there's the issue of first pass metabolism. Many drugs are significantly broken down in the liver before they even reach the bloodstream. This process can reduce their bioavailability and weaken their intended effect. Another drawback is the slower onset of action. Oral drugs often take longer to work compared to injections. That delay can be a problem in emergency situations where immediate action is needed. Some patients can take oral medications at all, like those who are vomiting, unconscious, or critically ill. In these cases, the oral route becomes completely unsuitable. Certain drugs also face the risk of degradation in the stomach. Gastric acid and digestive enzymes can destroy sensitive medications, making them ineffective before they even get absorbed. And finally, there's a human factor, poor compliance. Oral medication require consistent, self-directed dosing. Patients might forget, skip, or stop taking them altogether, especially in long-term treatments. Now that we have covered oral administration, let's move on to parenteral route of drug administration. The term comes from para means beyond and enteral meaning intestinal. So parenteral routes are methods that deliver drugs directly into the body's tissues or bloodstream, completely bypassing the gastrointestinal tract. This allows for faster, more controlled drug delivery, especially when rapid action is needed or when a drug can't be absorbed well through the digestive system. Why parenteral? While Parenteral routes are more invasive. They are absolutely essential in critical situations where oral administration is ineffective, inappropriate, or too slow, such as in emergencies, unconscious, or vomiting patients, or when rapid, predictable absorption is critical. These routes bypass challenges like first pass metabolism in the liver, gastric irritations, food interactions, enzyme degradation in the gut. Now, let's break down four key parenteral routes. First one is subcutaneous injection. It's a common method for administering drugs beneath the skin. Here, the drug is deposited into the loose connective tissue beneath the skin, commonly in areas like the abdomen, thigh, or upper arm. This area is rich in nerves, which means we avoid injecting irritant drugs. It's also less vascular compared to muscles, so the absorption is lower. This making it ideal for sustained release formulations. For example, insulin for diabetes. Now let's see what are the major advantages. Because of deep penetration is not required, this route is great for self-injection. That's why it's often used for insulin in diabetes patients. However, since only small volumes, usually between 0.5 to 2 ml, can be administered, it's not suitable for large doses. One of the standard benefits of the subcutaneous route is that it allows for sustained drug release, especially when using depot formulations. It's also less invasive than intramuscular injections. Since it doesn't require deep penetration into muscle tissue, there's less pain, less tissue damage, and overall, it's easier for patients to manage, especially for those who need regular dosing like insulin. Now let's move on to the disadvantages. First, you can only inject small volumes, typically around 1 to 2 milliliters. So it's not ideal for medications that require large doses. Second, since the subcutaneous tissue is less vascular than muscle, drug absorption is lower. This may not be suitable when a rapid therapeutic effect is needed. Also, because the area is rich in sensory nerves, irritant drugs are not recommended. They can cause significant pain or tissue damage. And finally, this route should be avoided in shock patients. Why? Because vasoconstriction in these patients reduces blood flow to the skin, delaying absorption and reducing effectiveness. Now let's take a look at three of the most notable forms: Dermojet, pellet implantation, and implants like Norplant. First, we have the Dermojet, a needle-free jet injector. This cutting-edge device uses high pressure to deliver medication painlessly under the skin. It's particularly useful in mass vaccination campaigns or when multiple doses are required. Because there are no needles, the risk of needle stick injuries is eliminated, and patients experience a virtually painless injection. Next up, we have pellet implantation, which involves solid drug pellets being implanted under the skin using a trocar or cannula. These pellets are designed for sustained release of medication over a period of weeks to months. A prime example of this system is testosterone therapy, a method that provides long-term hormonal replacement without requiring regular injections. Pellet implantation ensures consistent drug levels and greater convenience for the patient. It's a revolutionary solution for those who require ongoing treatment but want to avoid the hassle of frequent injections. Finally, we have implants, such as the widely known Norplant. These are crystalline drug formulations packed into biodegradable or non-biodegradable tubes and implanted just under the skin. Norplant, for example, is used for hormone delivery, providing long-term contraception for women. It's discreet, effective, and can last for up to 5 years. Implants like Norplant offer a significant advantage in both family planning and hormone replacement therapy. The drugs are released slowly, providing steady hormone levels with minimal user intervention. Next parenteral category is intramuscular injection. It is a widely used parenteral method where medication is injected directly into large skeletal muscles, typically the gluteus maximus, deltoid, or vastus lateralis. These sites are selected for their bulk and rich blood supply, which play a key role in drug absorption. For example, penicillin G procaine. It is a combination of antibiotic and a local anesthetic. Now, why choose intramuscular injections? Well, there are several advantages. Fast absorption compared to subcutaneous injection, thanks to better vascularity in muscles. Next, larger volumes of drug up to 5 milliliter can be administered safely. They allow for depot formulations like oily or aqueous suspensions that slowly release the drug over time, making them great for long-term treatments. And finally, mildly irritant drugs can be given intramuscular, since muscle tissue is less sensitive than skin or subcutaneous layers. But like all routes, intramuscular injections have their limitations. They can be painful, especially if the injection isn't administered properly, and often requires trained personnel. Self injection is difficult due to the need for deep muscle penetration, so it often requires a trained healthcare professional. Lastly, intramuscular injection should be avoided in patients on anticoagulants. The risk of hematoma formation is real and potentially dangerous. Next, we are moving to intravenous injection. The most direct route, drugs are delivered straight into the bloodstream either as a bolus or slow infusion. For example, chemotherapy, fluids, and electrolytes. So, what makes the IV route so special? Because the drug goes straight into circulation. It acts almost instantly, make it to go-to choice during medical emergencies like cardiac arrest, anaphylaxis, or severe hypotension. There is no loss during absorption or metabolism, meaning the full dose reaches the target, giving doctors precise control over dosing. It's suitable for irritant drugs since they are quickly diluted in blood and don't linger in tissues. In critical care settings, drug effects can be titrated in real time. For example, when managing blood pressure with sodium nitroprusside, the IV route allows you to adjust the dosage on the fly. You can also administer large fluid volumes over time, which is crucial for hydration, electrolyte balance, or delivering medications continuously. But IV administration isn't without its challenges. It's the riskiest route. Any error in dosing, speed, or drug compatibility can have immediate and serious consequences, especially for vital organs like the heart and brain. The procedure requires strict sterility and skilled technique. It's not suitable for self-administration. Complications like thrombophlebitis, necrosis from drug leakage outside the vein, and air embolism can occur if not handled properly. Only aqueous solutions can be injected. Suspensions are a no-go due to embolism risk. And finally, there is no depot effect. Once the infusion stops, the drug action ends quickly. Now, let's take a closer look at the general advantages and disadvantages of parenteral routes. First, let's focus on the advantages of parenteral routes. One of the major benefits of parenteral routes is that they bypass the GI tract. This is crucial in situations where oral administration is not possible. Whether a patient is unconscious, vomiting, or unable to swallow, parenteral routes ensure that the medication can still be delivered directly into the bloodstream. Parenteral administration is also ideal for patients who are uncooperative or cannot take medication by mouth, as injections can be given quickly and effectively. Another significant advantage is that parenteral routes, particularly IV administration, offer fast, predictable absorption. Medication delivered through an IV go directly into the bloodstream, allowing for rapid onset and control over dosage. This is crucial for emergency treatments or precise dosing in critical care settings. Now, while parenteral routes offer many advantages, they come with their own disadvantages and limitations. First, parental administration is inherently invasive, which means there is always some level of pain and a risk of injury or infection. Even with proper technique, injections or infusions can sometimes cause side effects like swelling, bruising, or more serious complications like infection at the injection site. Additionally, parental administration can be expensive. The need for sterile preparations, specialized equipment, and trained medical personnel can make these methods costly compared to oral medications. This can be a barrier, especially in resource limited settings. Another important point is that parental routes are irreversible once the medication is administered. Unlike oral medications that can sometimes be stopped or adjusted if an error is made, especially parental doses via IV or injection cannot be undone. Any administration errors can have serious, sometimes life-threatening consequences. And finally, while parental routes are excellent for immediate or short-term treatments, they are not ideal for long-term therapy without proper access device like IV ports or catheters. Prolonged use of these routes without such devices can increase the risk of complications like infection or vein damage. Okay, dear friends, that's a wrap for part 2. Stay with us as we continue to explore more routes in the next part. In part 3, we explore alternative systemic routes of drug administration like inhalation, nasal, sublingual, buccal, rectal, and even topical routes with systemic effects. Find out how these methods work, when to use them, and their unique advantages. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and share it with anyone who might find it useful. Don't forget to click the bell icon for notifications on upcoming parts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.